Battlefield 1. Everybody, all aboard the hype train. Battlefield 1 is the 15th installment in the Battlefield franchise. Now, this Battlefield had a whole different feeling to it. It felt like something that we haven't seen before, or at the very least, something we haven't seen in a very long time. A first-person shooter game being genuine to itself and trying not to be something that it's not. The problem that many people felt with the previous Battlefield installments is that although they did things to try to separate themselves from other franchises like Call of Duty, is that they were trying a little bit too hard to be just like Call of Duty. Or maybe making certain changes to differ themselves from Call of Duty in a way that was either A, painfully obvious, or B, done in a way that felt was maybe misguided or not done in the best interest of the players and the fans. Now, getting into the heart of this video, I want to list just basic pros and cons that I feel about this game and whether or not it really stacks up to the hype that was surrounded by it. You know, we're all aware of it. I'm going to do more in-depth of a comparison video between Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1, but I want to strictly talk about Battlefield 1 and the amount of people that were so hyped for this game and were so excited for this game, and whether or not it truly lived up to the hype that the trailer seemed to portray. Now I'm going to get into the few pros of the game and the few cons of the game. When I say few, I'm not going to talk about everything I loved about this game. I'm not going to talk about everything I didn't like about this game, because it's just, it'll just take up way too much time. Let's just get into the few pros. Now, one of the biggest things about this game, obviously, is the graphics. The graphics are fantastic, and it's not just because the graphics are good. It's because the setting and the tone and everything that goes into it, the lighting, the mood that you feel given off from this game, it's got a very gloomy and dark tone to it, but it's done so well that you just are engulfed in this setting, and you're engulfed in the game, and you feel like you're there to a certain extent, obviously, but it's very interesting how they captured the essence of how they wanted to portray World War I, in these areas. And that brings me to my other pro, the maps. There is a wide variety of maps in these games that are, each one of them have a different tone, they have a different feel to them, they, create a certain vibe, and they open up this world that you are just very, very, very intimate with. You don't really see these types of detailed, well thought out maps in these kinds of games anymore, because what ends up happening is these developers, they get these one-track minds of how they want to develop these maps, and then they just shit out the same kind of maps over and over and over and over, and it gets really repetitive. But in this game, it feels like they shifted the narrative a little bit, and they took back the charge of what I feel is a lot of creativity that was lacking in a lot of these types of games. If I'm being completely frank and being completely honest right now, there's a lot of lack of creativity. I feel that this game has taken a stand to changing that. And I'm not saying this game is the freaking, new coming of Jesus Christ. I'm just saying it's done a very good job on map interaction and giving their players a sense of, oh, this is something different, this is something new every single map they play. Now, the gameplay, obviously the most important part, is very interesting. It's a very smooth game. I played Battlefield 4, which I do enjoy, but it is a little bit clunky at times. It does feel hard to move around, hard to really get into combat action. This game is much different. It's much improved. It's a lot easier to interact with each player, and every single gunfight feels different in certain sense. I'm not saying every single gunfight is unique in its own way, but every gunfight doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing twice. You're encountering a new action, and these maps are so well thought out and well put out that it feels unique every time you play a new game. And that's the importance. And again, I don't want to get into comparing and contrasting and all that stuff yet, but I felt that in other games recently that I've been playing, where I feel like I'm playing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and this game has really broken the mold for me. Now again, I'm not saying this game is flawless and this game is, you know, an A++. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, in comparison to what's out there right now, it's doing a very good job in standing out. The guns are interesting, you know, they're not groundbreaking, but they're definitely a lot of fun to play with. The knife battles, like always, are very interactive, and they're much more fun to do, and the bayonet rushes are fucking awesome. They're so much fun, and I'm going to get more in depth of a lot of the little things, like the vehicles, and the horses, and all that stuff. But although that stuff is cool and all, that's more stuff that, you know, we all know about that. We've already talked about that before, you know, in other Battlefields. They've always had that kind of stuff. But that's more of a make or break in if it has the one up on, let's say, Call of Duty, which I will do a future video on that. But let's talk about some of the cons of what I don't like about this game. Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, a few of the cons I do have, and I do have a few. I'm going to try to be fairly critical, because I really spent a lot of time sucking this game's dick for the last 7 minutes, and I get that. You guys don't have to like this game, okay? That's just, I want to get this out of the way right now. This is just my opinion. This is just how I feel about the game. You don't have to like it. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's okay. I'm not going to be personally offended if you don't like this game. One thing I don't like is some maps have a very tough visibility. Now, there is a reason for this, so I will be fair to the game, and I won't be unreasonable here. There are some maps that have kind of a two-way weather pattern. This is one of the maps, but right now it's sunny. But sometimes it'll be cloudy, it'll be foggy. You know, there are other maps where it's really hard to see, the visibility is tough, and it's just really annoying. But that's just really kind of a small con, because that just adds into the setting of the game. It's supposed to be gloomy. It's supposed to have a more difficult feel sometimes. And the best part about it, honestly, is that you don't feel like you're playing, you know, the same map the same way twice, essentially. You know, you're playing this map and you're like, oh wow, it's really sunny this whole map and I can see everybody and it's a lot of fun, yada yada yada. But then the next time I play this map, it's really fucking cloudy, it's raining, it's gloomy, it's hard to see because there's so much fog, the visibility's shitty, it's almost impossible to snipe, but now it's like perfect to snipe because it's super sunny out. That is a great way to build a game, because you can utilize the same maps twice and utilize the same maps by just changing the weather. No, I just want to make another note. Again, there's a lot of stuff I haven't talked about, but I will talk about in my Call of Duty versus Battlefield 1 review. So just want to get that out of the way. I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, well, you missed this when it comes to the pros, or you missed, how about this? How about talk about the point system? How about talking about, you know, that kind of stuff, and talk about the special, you know, quote unquote, you know, score streaks, or I should say special vehicles. You know, like the train and the behemoth. I will talk about that in the versus Call of Duty. That is something I'm not going to bring up now because it's just not necessary right now. Another criticism of this game that I do have when it comes to the cons is that this does not have the same type of game variety as you see in other games. Now, that is something that they chose to do. They chose, once again, Battlefield being Battlefield, chose a more simplistic viewpoint on game modes and not so much on objective-based game modes, and as a wrestling fan I have to say, gimmick game modes. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to criticize, game modes for being, quote-unquote gimmicky or objective-based. As an example, Call of Duty, again, I know I have to keep bringing up Call of Duty because I have to. Because it's the set norm for first-person shooter games. But in Call of Duty, you have game modes like Search and Destroy, Demolition, Domination, Headquarters in the Modern Warfare Remastered that you're going to get to play finally again. And you have all these objective game modes, and you don't really see that in Battlefield. Now, there's plenty of time for expansion packs and DLC, so I'm not saying anything now. I'm just saying they chose, once again, a more simplistic approach where they let the gameplay and they let just, the war speak for itself, essentially. And I do like that. That's just my opinion, though. That's not everybody. Some people, they don't like that. I've talked to many people that play, obviously not just this Battlefield, but many other Battlefields, and they play it and they're like, it's kind of fun, but I like to be able to play more mission-based, multiplayer games. And I kind of get that, and that's kind of a big criticism because a lot of people don't like that. And I think another aspect of the game that people don't really like is they don't like the big maps. And I kind of get that too. Sometimes I don't like playing on a massive map and having to run around and search for people. But again, that's more of a personal thing. Some people like that, some people don't like that. But that's pretty much about it on my criticism, guys. If I've missed some stuff, please tell me in the comments. If there's stuff that you don't like about this game, by all means, please tell me. And if there's stuff that you feel that I missed and maybe I'm wrong about, please, go ahead. There's no bad criticism in my opinion, as long as it's constructive. So stay tuned, guys, for more Battlefield 1 gameplay, for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare gameplay, and stay tuned. I'm very excited to do a Battlefield 1 versus Call of Duty Infinite Warfare review. More of a versus. Who comes out on top? Which game is better in my opinion? And who is going to take the stakes as maybe the future of first-person shooting gaming? I'm going to give Battlefield 1 an A. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you all next time. It's been your boy, The Pickle Party, and peace out.